Good morning. What's up, Techno Dino? We're just about to start here. Finally feels good to have internet once again. If you guys didn't know, my internet got capped by wonderful Xfinity Comcast, also known as Comcast. They ended up capping at 1.2 terabytes. Isn't that ridiculous? Especially this day, especially nowadays, I should say, in 2025. But apparently it's still here. But I did find out that if I got two options, whether if I go with their router, which is their gateway router, it's like $25 a month, or I had to spend $30 a month if I want to just keep it unlimited. So it's either I rent a router from them, and then I got to upgrade, not router, but my modem. I got to upgrade my modem anyway. And I personally don't want to use theirs because it's a modem router. And on top of it, I prefer to own the router instead own the modem. I keep saying router because I'm so used to having fiber optics, but unfortunately in this area, they don't have it. So hopefully you guys out there, AT&T fiber, hopefully you guys are listening out there. Please spread out just a bit more. I would really appreciate you guys being out here. But anyway, what's up, Techno? I would pay the extra $5. That's, the funny thing is, it's not just $5. Xfinity wants $30, which is pretty crazy, right? Especially for just extra internet, but I mean, it's worth it, especially if you do a lot of downloading. And if you really think about it, 1.2 terabytes isn't much, especially if you're downloading it from multiple games. So if you're downloading, just like how Stellar Blade's about to be released this year, well, not this year, but it's just about to be released soon. And if I download that, that's going to take up a good amount of data, even though it's between three different PCs that I'm going to be installing it on. And right now I'm actually experimenting with this RX 9070 XT. I'm trying to run Steam OS on it. I'm going to make a video on it, and when I do, I will definitely post it up. I'm trying to push it as soon as tomorrow, if it's possible, and I will certainly let you guys know if you are interested in that. Currently, I've been messing with the ASUS ROG Ally. Hopefully, you guys saw that video. We put a Steam OS on that, and so far, it seems like it's been doing pretty well. I'm going to give a more thorough review before I actually give a full-on review on how Steam OS is compared to Windows on the ASUS ROG Ally. Oh, no, it's okay, Techno. I do appreciate it. But I think it's definitely worth it, especially if it saves me less headache and no more data caps, which is kind of ridiculous. The good thing is they don't restrict the data flow. Instead, what they do is they let you use as much data as you want, but then they'll charge you I think $10 every 100 gigabytes or something like that, or it's even more than that possibly, but it is a bit ridiculous. But if you guys haven't known, what's up, Kenyato, that guy? Yeah, so I gotta say, the biggest thing too about that's been going on, I don't know if I appreciate it, Techno Dino. Also, I gotta say, what's more interesting that's been happening and pretty widespread when it comes to a Micro Center, especially with this whole Zotac RTX 5090. I don't know if you guys heard about this or not, but this actually happened in quite a bit of locations. It's not just one specific area. Originally, it was thought to be just that specific area running into that problem. But if you were to purchase a Zotac RTX 5090 and you came out thinking that you were gonna get that GPU, unfortunately, when they opened up the box, it turned out that there was just a book bag. That's it. There was no graphics card. It was just stuffed with a book bag. And this was a case that happened well over 31 times. And it turns out that it wasn't the person who bought it, or it wasn't some sort of return that somebody that they scammed Micro Center into taking back the RTX 5090. But it turns out that it's actually a lot more deep rooted than that, and it's from Zotac themselves. And apparently some of the inside workers have been swapping out these RTX 5090s with bags. So it's I don't know how they managed to do that, but that's pretty ridiculous on that side. What's up, Sanchez? Good to see you. I'm honestly really glad to be back, and I'm excited to do a lot more with you guys too. I just got Expedition. I got Claire's Expedition, just to let you guys know I did end up getting it, and I actually downloaded it. And don't worry, this time the data shouldn't be a problem. So I will be streaming. I'll be streaming with Claire's Expedition. I will also be doing Doom, and there's going to be a couple other games. I'm looking into probably Stellar Blade, and which I know there's another title on mind. But there's another game, actually, speaking of mind, the Grand Theft Auto developers who also helped create that game, they also have their own game coming out called Open Mind, and that looks pretty good. Kind of like a Cyberpunk 2077 feel to it. And also in other news too, which is great for all you Cyberpunk fans out there, is that they are coming out with a sequel for Cyberpunk 2077. They're just going to call it Cyberpunk 2 instead of like Cyberpunk 2078 or something like that. So that is coming out eventually, and we don't know how long it's going to take, but it is certainly in production. They're not really touching Cyberpunk 2077 anymore after this. I know they said that they weren't going to touch it really much after, I think it was the last update. I think it was it 1.5, I think. But they still ended up like giving some nice little changes and little upgrades to the actual game. But it just shows you how long that they've actually supported Cyberpunk 2077, and for a good reason, because when it came out, it really wasn't that great either. But so if you do purchase a Zotac RTX 5090, just be wary of it. And the funny thing is, this isn't the first time that Zotac has ran into a problem like this, because I'm sure you guys remember, which was mentioned a little bit earlier in the year, was when people purchased Zotac's RTX 5090s that they were missing ROPs. So instead of getting 176, they would end up getting about 168 ROPs. So, but the funny thing is, a lot of those GPUs that they ended up returning, certain retailers, like in, I think it's in Australia, or it's a German retailer as well, that sells these RTX 5090s with lower ROPs for a discount. So if you are looking to get a RTX 5090 and you want a larger discount, I can't say it's a big discount because it's technically not a true RTX 5090. It's practically like a 5090D, I would assume. But I'm curious about the specifications on that. And the RX 9060 XT will be releasing sometime soon. It should be, I think, June 2nd, within the next week. It might be June 2nd. Let me just check my calendar real quick. Not June 2nd. I would see it probably June 5th. Because usually they release these cards on a Thursday. So probably June 5th we'll see that release date. And if you are looking into getting a RX 9060 XT, I've heard it was actually quite impressive, especially for what the card has performed so far. And I'm even curious in testing it myself to see how well it does. Again, AMD has done phenomenal this year, so if anybody's thinking of switching from NVIDIA RTX 30 series into a RX 990 series, like a 9070 XT, or even a 9060 XT, it's definitely an option to take a look at. And I've got to say, I've been pretty impressed, especially for how well it's performed. The coil line issue, also when it comes to the Sapphire Nitro Plus, it seems that it's become more minimal. So the good news is after a while, it does seem like the coil whine does calm down quite a bit. Originally, when you do first get it, it might be a little bit noisy, but then it does tend to degrade a little bit over time, so you don't really hear it at all at this point now. But the RX 9070 XT has held up really well. I've been happy with it. The only biggest gripe that I have with it is that when you are monitoring it, then it shows that the VRAM is out of control. It'll say that you're using like 19 gigabytes of VRAM, but in reality, you know, you only have 16. So it's something that really has to be fixed on the sensor side when it comes to hardware info. And if they could just manage to fix that, that would be nice. There hasn't been any other real issues, I gotta say, for the 9070 XT besides when it comes to certain games, such as I mentioned, like with the whole thing when it comes to the Doom. When you play Doom Dark Ages, it seems that right now that it seems that the FSR, or if you use any type of frame generation with it, with the AMD GPU, it still seems that it freezes up the game within relatively quickly. Within about 5 or 6 minutes, then it'll freeze up and it'll give you like a nice little hard freeze. Not to the point where you have to force reboot your PC, but it'll get to the point where you have to force quit the game and then restart it and change up the settings then. But if you don't have frame generation on, then it works perfectly fine. There's no issues when it comes to AMD's RX 9070 XT. But we will be also trying Claire's Expedition later, and we could definitely see how well that it'll end up playing up, and I have a lot of faith in it. Other games that I've put through it so far, it's held phenomenal. Again, no issues. Of course, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. This is an open chat, so if you are thinking of upgrading, or you're thinking of getting a PC, or even building a PC, feel free to ask. Also, if you have any questions that you need help in the near future, feel free to follow our Discord channel, and I will post it right here for you guys. But if you follow the Discord channel, here we can all help out each other. So a lot of the fan bam is in there, and they're also willing to help. And there's actually several builds that are going on. I know Joe just recently upgraded his GPU, so he's been pretty stoked about that. He's also changed out the casing for his PC. He's mostly kept for a lot of the same components for the most part, but he has a much better feel with the new case, much better panel ports, much better front panel ports. And there's also another build that is also going on. And I think this one specifically, I think it's what's his name? His name always slips my mind. But there is another build that is going on, and he's only spending about $1,000 for the build because he didn't manage to get a 7800 XT. And we just put together a build for him just to get him onto AM5, because apparently he's on a much older platform and he wants to change over because he was debating between going to AM4 or AM5. I always suggest anybody that is thinking of building a PC, you could go AM5 because it's a lot cheaper than what it was, and it's going to save you a lot more money in the future, because once you say you do go AM4, maybe you'll build it a little bit cheaper now. But the only problem is once they stop making DDR4, which is supposed to happen sometime soon, when they do stop making it, you're either going to have to pay a extraordinary amount of money to purchase DDR4 that's new, or you're going to have to purchase it used, which depends on how the used market is going to look for DDR4. So I always suggest somebody, especially if it's a new build, to go ahead and go AM5 instead. But if you already have AM4, then it's good to stay where you're at for now, especially if you're trying to wait for the AMD 10,000 processors, which will not come out this year, but it's going to more than likely show up within the next year, late next year. And it's not even going to be the 3D chipsets until the following year. But is the RX 9080 XT leak real? I haven't, the thing is, haven't really heard like really any solid sources. And from these solid sources, I haven't really heard anything really good. So I can't say if it's actually real or not, but it's right now it's on the edge of between kind of real or kind of fake. It's just right now it's a big myth, we can say, for the most part. I can certainly see AMD wanting to do the whole 9080 XT, because if they go with 9080 XT, they know that there is a market for it. And I certainly hope that they do. I'm sure everybody else out there does want to see a 9080 XT. I would love to see it. I would love to run it up against something like a RTX. We could run it up against the RTX 4090, RTX 5090 even. The 50, see if I could get a 5070 to run it up against too. But more than likely, I really expect great things coming out at AMD soon. I'm sure that they have large projects on the way, especially if they're thinking of going G7 in the near future. And the thing is too, I do have to say this, NVIDIA has also thought about kind of pulling a little bit back on the whole gaming market. Again, this was not hard to predict. And we all kind of had an idea because NVIDIA has pushed so hard on AI. And because they push so hard on AI, that they want to slow down production on GPUs on the 50 series and focus more chipsets on the AI side of the industry. And it seems that NVIDIA is more focused on growing their industry and growing their capital, which any company in the right mind would. They want to focus on where they can make more money, especially for them. And eventually they said right after they deal with this whole AI side that they want to go into robotics. So it's I gotta say, it has been very interesting to see where NVIDIA is headed. And it's almost, I think NVIDIA will stick around in the gaming market, but they're not going to have a strong presence as they used to be. Like where that they had a lot of focus in the gaming department, but now it seems like it's going to probably wither down a bit. So Vicky says, which one is better, the RTX 5070 or the 5060? The RTX 4070, I gotta say. If you're thinking of purchasing either one, I'd say go with the RTX 4070. If you can get your hands on one, definitely get it. The RTX 5060, it's not really too much of an upgrade. In fact, it's like one of the lower tiers of upgrades and probably one of the worst. Again, the 50 series wasn't the greatest generation when it comes to NVIDIA. And honestly, it's probably one of the worst generations I've ever seen from NVIDIA, especially because, again, the driver updates are still effed up. They're still not working correctly. And we're still waiting on proper drivers for the 50 series. So everybody's on a different driver on it. That's just how rough it is. With the RTX, anything under the RTX 40 series is pretty solid, I gotta say. The 50 series makes the 40 series seem like an upgrade. Just put it that way. So I would say go RTX 4070 if you were to choose. Also, if you're thinking of getting like an RTX 5090 or any of the 50 series, even though I said what I said, and I know there's people that are going to still want to get a RTX 5090 or a 50 series, that the good news is if you are located in the European region, that they are dropping the prices on them, not significantly, but a decent amount of money that they're dropping it, like about between, I think it's like 4 to 5%. So the good thing is, if you are still looking to purchase a card, like you could get a 5090, I think it's like a little bit over 2,600 euros, if I'm not mistaken. I have to take a look at the chart, but I have everything listed, which we can definitely take a look at a little bit later if you guys are interested in that. Also, if there is any game recommendations that you want to see, especially on a RTX 5090 or on a RX 9070 XT, feel free to let me know. I'm currently under a project with the RX 9070 XT. Again, I'm pushing a whole different OS on it. I definitely have already got OBS and everything up on it. I just got to work on trying to send it remotely if I can. If I can't, I'll figure a different method. I know a for sure method is if I have a capture card. That would definitely be the easiest way to do it. But I'm going to work on trying to get that up and running so that way we can run it on the 9070 XT. Or I could always revert it back. But again, I want to do a lot more testing with this OS to see how well it turns out, especially for those who don't want to stick around for Windows and those use their PC not really much for gaming. And if you're curious about this whole Steam OS too, like how is it, and how is it similar to, is it anything similar to Windows? And it's going to be quite a change. Now you might be kind of familiar with it because it still has a somewhat of an interface. It still has a GUI. You still have the to answer Snecker is just got a 9070 XT for 700. That's an awesome price, to be honest. I actually know somebody from Denmark that actually purchased their 9070 XT for a little bit over 1,000. I think they spent 1,000. What was it? 1,030 euros for it. So you got a really good deal on it because I know they were priced out for a while, which is crazy. And do you recommend overclocking and undervolting, or should I keep it stock? Now, which card do you have, by the way, Snecker? Which brand specifically? And I can help you a little bit further with that. Now, I've done it already with the, I can say for Sapphire, you can definitely do it. XFX, you can definitely do it. ASUS, you can. There's even ASRock. ASRock's good too, but it does have its limitations. That's actually one of the better cards, like when it comes to silence and undervolting. But the majority of 9070 XT cards, you can underclock, you can undervolt, and you can even overclock as well. But yeah, I suggest you can do it. Just be cautious and careful when you do it as well, because you don't want to end up voiding your warranty. That's the biggest thing. If that's what you're worried about and you don't want to void your warranty, the safest thing to do is not to really touch it, to keep it stock. But if you don't really care as much about the warranty, then you can go ahead and change it up. In fact, I think even if you choose to undervolt it, that you do get a warning if you are on AMD Adrenalin trying to do it. If you do it on another software such as MSI Afterburner, or if you use like ASUS's GPU-Z or any of those aftermarket programs, like when it comes to undervolting and overclocking, then those won't give you a warning, but they don't work together either. So if you do choose to underclock, I personally say go to Adrenalin as well over any of the other ones, even not Precision, but even over MSI Afterburner, because you won't be able to get your driver updates properly unless you go to the website and download them. And it doesn't work with your FSR or your frame generation or anything like that, because you'll be forced to close out of Adrenalin in order to use that software. So, do you think it's better to buy a 6950 XT for 400 or a 4070 for 550? Now, I gotta say, for the pricing, I would say if you're choosing between a 6950 XT and a 4070, I would choose the 4070, to be honest. The 6950 XT is a great GPU, but I would say the 4070, you would be a little bit more happier with it, especially because if it also matters too because of the ray tracing side of it, and a lot of developers out there don't really care about optimizing as much. So I would say go 4070. And for the ASRock Steel Legend combined with 9700X. Now that's a good combination. If you guys haven't heard anyway about this whole AM5 socket with this ASRock, I'm sure you've heard about 9800X 3Ds burning out in them and those specific motherboards. And One of the fan man actually brought this up to my attention, and I'm glad that he did, because let me just look at his name just to make sure I can give him credit for it, because he definitely deserves it. Let me see. Let me pull him up here. I think it was... I apologize for this. Just want to make sure that I give him credit. But I think... hopefully he's in here. But anyway, he did bring up the ASRock, that, in fact, that they did admit that it's not a debris issue. Because originally that's what they stated. They said if you buy their motherboards, that you have to make sure to dust off the socket, which is not a great idea. Especially because AM5 is the exact opposite too. The pins are on the motherboard, so you don't want to touch them if you don't have to at all. You shouldn't be touching them in the first place. So they did say that if you do get a ASRock board, make sure to update the BIOS. Now, is it possible to update the BIOS without the CPU? You can. You could certainly do it. You just need to do a flashback. Or you can even or if you're really that worried, that's the best thing to do. Or you just put the CPU in, and then you immediately update the BIOS right after. Because it takes a bit of time for it to actually burn, and I'm sure, and on top of it, the whole ASRock motherboard issue, more than likely they updated a lot of their boards. They might have, I wonder if they recalled any. I don't think they did, just to update them. But just to forewarn you, if anybody does get an ASRock board, the most important, crucial part is to update it. What's up, Death Striker? Only 4 to 5 days that my PSP will arrive, even though it's a PC channel. I just want to share memories. I mean, yeah, enjoy it. I love the PSP. PSP is a great system, especially because it does bring back a lot of fond memories. So anybody that had a PSP can definitely tell you it's worth having. It's a lot of fun to play and enjoy it. Just because this is a PC channel, don't worry about it. I also do other content as well on other consoles as well, such as PlayStations and everything else in that nature. But on the side of PSP, just as Death Striker mentioned, I don't know if anyone's really interested in this, but also Sony is coming out with their own version of the portable. It's going to be practically like a new version of a Vita, but for 2028 allegedly. And there's not really a lot of facts on it, but all we can say is that there's going to be a 2nm process in it, which is going to be combined with Samsung, and they're also working with AMD. Currently, they have a chipset codename called Jupiter for this portable console that they will have with Sony. So it's hard to say if it's going to be a dedicated console, such as if it's going to be something like the Switch, where you can take it on the go and be able to play at home, because I don't know how well that would do on that side. But I think it's more or so going to be a dedicated portable, such as the PSP and PS Vita. So we'll see how that turns out. Hopefully they do a great job on it. I kind of want to stray away from PlayStation, especially now, because of how there is a lack of innovation anymore when it comes from Sony on that side. And it seems like all the titles we can get on PC anyway if we just wait a year at this point. So, hey Chris, I just want to ask about Bazite or the Nomura project. A horrible idea to use on older Dell Optiplex, because I have second and third and fourth generation Intels that I have. It's Linux distro. Oh, okay. So you want to use it on an older Dell. You can certainly do it. You can do it on those type of systems if you'd like. They do have legacy hardware that you can install it on. But yeah, give it a shot. I haven't tested it on older systems, so I couldn't tell you how well it runs. But I know you can do it. You can certainly do it. It doesn't require a lot of hardware in order to run Linux, of course. And I'm trying to build a new PC, so is a BIOS update compulsory or a whole new PC? Okay, so it depends on what you're trying to do here. So you're trying to build a whole PC, or is the BIOS update compulsory on a whole new PC? So if you're going to do that, yes, I would recommend it, even on the new build. If you're asking about the whole, I think you said, are you, sorry, Vicky, but just to confirm, you have the ASRock board. If you, either way you do it, say if you did, then just update it. That's going to be important. Thought on ASRock situation with the 9. Yeah, so I'm very curious to see how this is going to turn out, Wasabi, because about this whole ASRock situation, they originally said that it was dust, right, onto the CPU. Just nobody touch it, okay? Nobody touch the socket in the first place. I gotta say that first. Don't grab a toothbrush. Don't try to scrub the pins or anything like that. But they did finally admit that they said that it wasn't on AMD's fault, that the fact that it is their fault, and that they are willing to take responsibility up to, they're taking responsibility of these issues. And then on top of it, now that they said that it's a BIOS problem, which was causing too much heat with the CPU, that's why it was burning out. So in order to get that fixed, you can update the motherboard, and it shouldn't be an issue. Now, I don't think this has happened on a super large scale where everyone's having this issue. It's happening on very few PCs. And if you are thinking of getting an ASRock motherboard, you can get one, but just make sure to update it. That is the first and most important thing to do. You can either flashback the BIOS without the CPU, or you can install it with the CPU and just go straight to updating once you get to Windows or you get to your browser, and just make sure to update it. That is going to be the most crucial step when it comes to having an ASRock board. Now, Silverwing says, I am trying to sell them for a profit is what I'm trying to do, because activating Windows on these Optiplexes is my biggest issue right now. Oh, okay. They had Windows 7 OEM keys. Unfortunately, they don't work anymore. You know what? Okay. So you want to try the, I got you. So if you do install, just go ahead and install Linux and see how well it works out for them. But the thing is, if you are trying to turn for profit, to be honest, there's not going to be a big market for it unless you are selling it online. If you are selling your PCs online, then there may be people that are interested in purchasing it. But the majority of people that have no idea on how to use Linux, especially if you have a student that is trying to use it for like schoolwork, they're going to be in for a ride if they go through Linux in the first place. And the second part is there's going to be people that wants the familiarity of Windows. So there is a way you can get Windows keys, but then the thing is you have to purchase them off of, like, say, a third-party site. You can, or you can even go through GitHub. GitHub's a good area to look for ways, I can say. But Wasabi says there are people out there that went from Intel 13th to 14th gen system exploding on them, and then to the, yeah, I know, I feel so terrible about that, Wasabi. And you imagine, and they're all related in some sort of way. The 13th and the 14th gen, right? The same problem, overvolting. And same thing when it comes to ASRock, again, overvolting. So you would imagine they would feel cursed when they ended up getting this 9000 series. That anytime they tend to want to upgrade, that it seems that it's going to burn out for some reason. I just feel terrible, and for those people, I wouldn't blame them if they're like, I'm going to go to consoles from now on, if that's the case. Oh, really? Oh, okay. Oh, wow. That is pretty crazy. I didn't know GitHub was on there. That's a shame. GitHub's a great place, though. GitHub's an awesome place for it. I would say go third party. That's the safest way, to be honest, is go at least third party. I know you don't want to, or you can always contact Microsoft themselves. They do offer, if you get a majority of keys from them, they do give you a discount. You don't have to pay like $99 for each key. But if you contact them and say, hey, I need 10 keys, they can give you a discount too. So you can always go that route too, if that's what you're looking for, if you're trying to get some OEM keys. Or you, again, third-party site. I don't know how much you like going to third-party sites, but that's also the other option. So, going back to the, what are your opinions on the 9800 X3D on the MSI? I think that's a great combination. Honestly, I was just speaking, I think, to somebody about this, the whole MSI Carbon X870Es. Underrated board. A great motherboard to definitely get. Highly recommend it. If you are thinking MSI, that is the motherboard of choice, I would say. Over their a lot of their other lines, I would say that and the Ace are great lines from MSI. So I would say go for it. Go for it, Brett. You're gonna love it. Is it only? Yes, Snacker. It is only with the Ace Rock boards. So if you are trying to build a new AM5 build, it is only with Ace Rock boards. Every other manufacturer, ASUS, Gigabyte, MSI, they don't really have issues. And NZXT, I would assume. I'm not too sure of too many people building on NZXT build, but those manufacturers out there, they don't have any issues when it comes to burning out. Of course, every motherboard has its quirks, and I'm sure you guys heard quite a few, such as ASUS when it comes to the whole quick release. And the whole quick release issue with their GPU when you install it, because it's buttonless, so you don't have to you push a button to release it. You do have to pull it out in a very different way. So you pull it from the back of the ports where the I/O ports are. You lift it from that side, and it should release. Or sometimes people will try to pull it directly in the middle, just like if you're just trying to pull out the card, but it will give you a bit of trouble going through that way. And of course, ASUS has reiterated those boards that have the quick release on the, what do they call it? The Gen 2? They don't call it Gen 2, but they called it something else. It's the name slipped my mind, but it's usually on the higher ends. It's usually on like the X870E boards you would find them on when it comes to ASUS. Gigabyte, did they have an issue? Not as far as I know. I think Gigabyte's like one of the fewer ones that didn't really have as much issues. They do have their quick releases, but they still have the buttons and everything on them. What's up, XMac? Good to see you. Next month, I will be buying a RX 9070 XT finally. I have the 9800 X3D parked on the shelf for the past 2 months and looking forward to upgrading my system. I am excited for you. I can't wait. I hope you are part of the Discord. If you do, please share your pictures of your build. Would love to see it. Everyone there would love to also see it as well. And how are the new drivers working for you? So far, so good, I gotta say, for the most part. I haven't seen any freezing. I've been playing, again, I've been mostly playing a lot of Doom. I've been having fun on it, Dark Ages. I will also be streaming more than likely later. And when I do, I will be going on specifically the RTX 5090 build. I want to go on the 9070 XT build as well, but I have to get the NDI working properly in order for it to stream over. But I am currently under a project with the 9070 XT, which is, it's on a whole completely different OS now. So I'm trying to, I originally tried to put Steam OS and everything in it, and there will be a video based on it tomorrow if anybody's thinking of switching off of Windows to go into something like a Linux type of style like Steam OS, or if you're thinking of going to Bazite or anything like that, there will be a video based on that coming out tomorrow. But so, okay, good to hear. I was in doubt between ASRock Steel Legend B850 and the ASRock ROG Strix B850. Same price. Got the ASUS ROG Strix because you'll be happy with the ASUS ROG Strix. And again, have never really ran into issues. The last time I really ran into a serious issue with ASUS was back on the Z690s. So it was quite a bit, it was quite a while ago when I did run into any sort of problems with ASUS, but other than that, they have been solid. Awesome. Thank you for joining, Wasabi. I have it on my AORUS B850. If you're buying a 9800 X3D, there's been a lot of scams. You know, the funny thing is, these 9800, oh, that's terrible. That is terrible. At least you knew right off the bat. But if you guys haven't heard of this, I just got to ask you, XMech, was this scam based on like an older processor? I think it was like that they used the old, like, was it the 3800X or something like that? And they would they would make it seem like it was the 9800 X3D. And even if you look at it, you can tell immediately because on the bottom of it, it's going to have pins. And anything that is under the AM5 line, it's not going to have pins when it comes to their processors. Whether if it's Zen 4 or Zen 5 processors, they shouldn't have any pins underneath the socket. Not underneath the socket, but underneath the CPU. Seller is Dosky Direct. Okay. That's his name already sounds sketchy. So it's good that you put out a notice for everybody out there. Please be careful too if you're purchasing from Amazon. Make sure it is from either a reputable seller or that it's from Amazon themselves. Do you think the 90? I absolutely think it's a awesome GPU blacklist, and I gotta say the 9070 XT has been the most impressive I've dealt with this year. Out of all the GPUs that I've dealt with this year, I'd say the 9070 XT, as if I were to give out an award for the best GPU of this year. And it doesn't have to just do, because remember, when it comes to GPUs, it's not just about power, but it's also about the pricing. It's also about the about drivers, which is also important. So I would have to put 9070 XT on the top of the list when it comes to top GPUs of this year. Fortunately, NVIDIA has been way how do I say? We had high hopes. Just put it that way. On any of the 50 series, we were practically put on with high hopes when it comes out. We were told by game developers that this would change everything. It certainly did. Not in the way they thought, but I gotta say it's pretty sad to see what happened to NVIDIA throughout this year, and hopefully they can really get it back together. But again, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, that NVIDIA is going to be very focused on the AI industry more than anything, that they're actually going to slow down a bit of production on the 50 series in order to fulfill the AI needs. So Wasabi says, I saw this scam thing. They will ship you an AM4 processor with the 9800 X3D printed on top of the metal cover. Yeah, so that's pretty much a scam. There's some that's even been getting like really old sockets. I think like socket 939 it is. Let me see if I can actually pull it up. Let's see, socket. And it'll be funny. I'm going to share this with you guys too. And let's see. Here we go. You'll know right off the bat because this is exactly how it looks like. All right, so I'm going to switch over here. You see the difference? This is how it's supposed to look like. This is what a 9800 X3D should look like. You'll know immediately because, again, the heat spreaders, it's completely different. You'll see this. And then on top of it, even the IC is completely different. You have a notch. This is, you can just tell. Have you heard a rumor that apparently AMD is testing new prototype cards? Oh, really? Of course he disappeared. Have you heard the rumor? Apparently AMD is testing new prototype cards where allegedly are different versions of possible 9080 XT with G7, 256 bandwidth, or either 24 or 32 gigabyte. You know, I've been asked this too, and there's nothing really solid. I can't say that if it's real or not, and I'm definitely going to see what I can find out. And if I do find any more information, I'll definitely let you guys know. The seller reappeared with 30 people reviews saying they got scammed. I feel bad for everybody that gets played by these scammers. I want to see underneath of it. Let's see. See, this is, you can tell, you see this right here? You can really tell the difference. Let me zoom in a bit there so you guys can really see. Look at that. That's even that's even a sticker. It's on an AMD FX processor. And then you look right here. That's it. Oh, and Mike just sent Discord now, so I'll send it over. I'll switch over to Discord too, so you guys can take a look at what he's talking about here. Let's see. Go over. There we go. And I'll switch it over. Oh, I can't. I don't want to show the. I can't zoom in because it has your address on there. But I'll show the outside of it just to let you know, Mech, if you don't want your address out there in the public. But how legit is PC Parts? It's very legit. It's actually one of the top websites to go to when it comes to looking at PCs. Moore's Law is dead is talking. Oh, I'm kind of mixed about Moore's Law is dead. Hey, he's reliable, but then he's not reliable. So it's but I'll definitely take a look into it though, Wasabi for sure. And I'm going to see some of these other contacts too, just to see if I could pull any type of information. But let me see. I'm going to switch over to the Discord screen real quick, guys. And this is it right here. Let me see. Right there. But so just be really careful of any buyers. Just like see how it says. You'll see how it says G.Skill Direct on there. This is what you want to avoid because then it's going to be an issue. And the thing with Amazon, you'll know. Actually, we'll go to the browser together soon, and I'll show you exactly what to look for. Now, I usually recommend Amazon's great. Newegg is also really good too when it comes to purchasing PC hardware. PC Part Pickers is also great too. That's a well-known, renowned website in order to purchase PC parts. So you can use them. They usually find you the cheapest parts, and it's also great internationally because they also list all the different parts internationally. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I made sure not to zoom in, Mac, because I know you don't want. I don't think you want it out there on the internet. But I'm gonna go over to Amazon, and we'll take a look together here. But when you get it, let's see. I gotta go straight to this page. Micro Center even posts on Amazon as well. So that's a very well-known retailer. So if you do want to purchase from them, they do also have it. Just make sure it's actually from Amazon and not a seller that says it's from Amazon, because they'll post that on the title too. eBay is another story. eBay is a really sketchy place anymore. And the fees are just ridiculous anymore when it comes to them. I deleted the pictures, or you can delete. Oh, okay. Gotcha. So everyone knows, if I link a build, would you mind reviewing it? Yeah, sure. If you're going to link a build, send it through Discord. I don't think YouTube will allow you to put links or anything like that. So just send it to me on Discord. If you guys need the Discord, I will post it just in a couple seconds after I read what Joe Pinico says. Amazon has been shipping PC parts to me in poly and paper bags. Some have been damaged, so buyer beware. It's also seen that they have, yeah, you know what, I gotta say, they have definitely gone down when it comes to shipping. They become super economical to the point where if they could ship you just a part, they would. So just please be mindful on that side of it. Usually Amazon's pretty good, like when it comes to ordering PC cases and everything. And when it comes to PC cases, the reason why I say that is because like if I notice if I ordered anywhere else, even on Newegg, sometimes I will run into problems to where the case would come in damaged. I ordered Lee cases and they would come in like with a big dent on the side of the corner. And Amazon would be a little bit more reliable on that side because at least, you know, they'll ship it safely, and cases are usually in a box relatively well. Now, when it comes to Amazon and it comes to things like CPUs, you just gotta hope that they don't just throw it in a paper bag and send it out. And the only way for them to realize that they're effing up or really effing up that way is make sure to let them know, let customer service know, like, hey, you can't be sending it this way, because then they're just going to end up losing money every time, because they're going to have to pay you back for that part. Either that or send you a new part. They just have to know some sort of accountability when it comes to it. You have to make them feel it in their pockets. Let me see. So if you look here, now this says it's Micro Center, and this is what you're going to want to see. You're going to see right here where it says by seller. Now it's going to be very small. I don't know why they choose to make it very small like this, but you're going to see it down here on the bottom, right under buy now. It's typically right under there. Let me move this over so you guys can see it, and I'll zoom in a bit because it's going to be a little harder for guys to see. But it's going to be right under buy now. It's going to say sold by Micro Center. So that's how you know it's going to be reputable. And not only that, you want to make sure it's from actually Micro Center. So you want to go into here. What's up, Alex? Good to see you here. So right here, 5 stars, 100% positive. And it's from Hilliard, Ohio, and fulfilled over 10,000 orders. You know this is legit Micro Center. This isn't no BS Micro Center here. So far, I bought PC parts from Amazon and never had problems. However, it's sketchy. The fact that they send... I agree. They shouldn't be sending stuff in paper bags anymore. I actually miss when they put it in the waterproof seal, and it was actually bubbled pretty decent instead of the paper bags. That paper bags have to go. That's annoying. I have a red light on my motherboard, like a single solid one. What would it mean? Which motherboard do you have? Let me know, and I can help you out, because each motherboard is going to be different. Is it just let me know the brand, and I can help you out. But the majority of the time, like if it's red, it's going to be most motherboard issues. If you're trying to start your PC, is going to be either RAM related or CPU related, and if it's not booting up at all, more than likely it's going to be either or. But what you would do is you're going to run a RAM test on it. You're just going to run, what I mean by doing a RAM test first is, I'm assuming this is what it's going to be in the first place. Make sure that they're sitting in there, or that there's no dust in there. Sometimes dust will somehow get in there or creep in there. Just dust it out first, and then test one RAM set at a time, specifically in the areas where they should be. So motherboards are still sent with cardboard boxes. Okay, that's good to know. At least the motherboards are sent with cardboard boxes. That's at least appropriate. But that's the main thing you want to see, like when it comes to purchasing any of the parts. Like let's take a look at this 9800 X3. Make sure it's from Amazon. And right here, let's see. Where's it at? Ships and sold from Amazon. There we go. That's what we would like to see. Right there. Hopefully you guys saw that right there. Shipped and sold from Amazon. That's what you want to look for when it comes to it. Oh, so it came on your ROG Crosshair X870E Hero. It's a 3-day old PC. Okay, so it can be one or two. You should, because you have the X870E Hero. In fact, that's the same motherboard that's right behind me. That I can tell you, you should have a Q code that's up there. What type of code is it giving you? Because usually, even though it has a red light, you should have some sort of Q code. More than likely, if it's going to be like is it a, because there's going to be different letters or numbers depending on what it is. Let's see. I also make sure to purchase shipped and yes. Oh, really? That really sucks. If that's the case, that sucks. Their website changes after the fact in those cases. I know this because when I contact them, I click my order link and it's different. And that's why I screenshot everything before. 42 right now. I do agree with you, Joe. I do see that happen at times. I do notice that when you do purchase things from Amazon, they'll end up switching buyers. I could give a good example. Just like I tried to order these batteries off of Amazon and these camera batteries. And it said it was from another retailer, which I don't mind as long as they got good feedback. But as soon as I go back, for some reason, Amazon has it sold by Amazon again. And now these batteries, which is the current case that I'm running into now, are somehow MIA. So it is shipped. It does say it's shipped and it's in facility. They even have a tracking number for UPS for it. But when I put it into the UPS website and try to track it, it does not allow me to. So that is the conundrum that I'm running into with Amazon currently. So they are quite a pain to deal with at times. I feel that they used to be so much better when it came to their customer service, but they need to improve that side for the most part. So it says 42 now. Okay. So I'll help you out there, Jerry. If that's the code, more than likely it's probably going to, it sounds like that it's probably good for the most part. 42 sounds like your PC should be on. Because usually if you have a negative Q code, like something, let's say, I'll show you. I'll share the Q codes with you. There's going to be a whole list of it. So this is how it should look like if you do run into a Q code. Now this happens specifically to ASUS motherboards. Some other manufacturers will also have their own version of it. But when you run into a Q code, this is typically when you see issues. Now, when you see any of these ones, this is when you run into a problem. 42 is pretty normal. That sounds like it's reading the temperature. So our range is 42, 43, and such. Is your motherboard on? It sounds like your PC is on. Because in fact, even say my motherboard right now is at 42, 43. So that's just reading the temperature of the board right now. And as long as if it's on and you're not running into issues, or are you having problems like booting up, period? Because this might be a whole different issue. It might not be actually the motherboard. If you're not getting a display, it could just be like maybe the card's not sitting in properly, your video card. Okay, so it is working. Oh, you're good then. Yeah, more than likely you're okay. So it is on, and okay, so you don't have a problem then. Because usually if you have a Q code issue or you have some sort of problem, these are the codes where it's going to be troublesome. Now, if you see like 42, like where my board's at currently now, same thing with your board, that's like the temperature that it's basing off of. So no worries there. But I have one single red light that goes off when I turn it off. Honestly, I wouldn't really worry about it as much. As long as if your PC's working properly, don't worry about it. That could just be almost like a check. Because just like similar to, I can say to like anything else, it's going to have some sort of check to make sure everything's working properly. So that one single red light could just be that it's just checking to make sure everything's working properly. Link build to chit chat. Okay, Gotcha. All right, so I'll see you. Let me check that out. I'll take a look at it live. How's that sound? And we can take a look at it. I am okay. I see you. All right, so I'm gonna open this up real quick. Right now, no. Is it constant? Is the light constant? Like it's not shutting off at all? It's still on? If that's the case, I'll take a look at it. I'll take a deeper look and I'll get back to your answer. But let's take a look at this real quick. Let me help out. Let me help out O James first, and I'll get right back to you on that. But also, feel free to join Discord. I can help you out more, Jerry. And you can share pictures and everything. That way I can take a better look. Oh, it's always on. Okay. Yeah, it shouldn't always be on. Huh. That sounds like, if that's the case, more than likely, I'm thinking it could be just like some sort of connection. It might be like some sort of connection issue on your board. Because sometimes that'll happen. It's letting you know, like, hey, you got something that's not really connected. It could be that. But let me just help out O James here real quick. And we are going to Discord. So this is it here. Got to switch over to the browser. Okay. I'm just checking something real quick. You just sent the power cable, is it? Oh, wait. That's the power cable. My fault, James. There we go. Okay, so this is the parts that you picked out. Oh, wait. Why didn't I come on? Yeah, for some reason, your list isn't coming up. Oh wait, or is this, no? It should be up here. If you see your list, it's gonna be up here. Because when I click it, it's just taking me straight over to your, just over to empty list. But yeah, send me over your list. Just copy it again and then send it over and I'll take a look at it. There we go. All right, perfect. There we go. That's better. Okay, so this is his list so far. He has an AMD Ryzen 5 9600X, solid choice. That's actually the same CPU we chose to go with the RX 9070 XT. iCUE Link Titan 360, awesome choice, again. MSI Mag B650M, Mortar Wi-Fi Micro. Okay, so you're going to Micro ATX. Okay, that's not bad at all. You're also got the Samsung 990 EVO, great choice. ASUS Prime, also an awesome choice. 3500X, okay, 150 watts. You got my, okay. No, it looks solid. Your build looks very good for the most part. Now, I do have to say, for the, out of curiosity, did you want a microboard? Because if you want to have a little bit more options, you could always go and choose to open up a get like an ATX board. Then you have you'll be able to add extra peripherals or extra NVMe's if you have them, because you can always change it out. If you, I don't know your budget. Is your budget good at where it's at? Around $2097 it is? Because I can say for certain, you could even get like a like MSI. They do have their what's it called? MSI Meg. Let me look up the board real quick, and I can share it with you. Let's go to motherboard here. And the Tomahawk is a good choice. I would say just, wife says they keep keep it reasonable. Is there another board compatible? Oh yeah, absolutely. If it's got to be reasonable, I would say now you have two options here. You could go ASUS Prime B650 Plus Wi-Fi, this one right here, and you'll have a bit more options on it, which is only 149, so you actually save a bit. Or you can go, if you strictly want MSI, you could go MSI Gaming Plus Wi-Fi ATX and AM5. Those two would do great. That way you won't be limited with your board. But these two, right off the top, you can choose to put onto your build instead. But I can, if you want me to adjust it, I can for you, and then I could send over that list. Now, if I could send over either or, and then you can choose which one to pick, because they're actually right one. Oh, it's going to do it all fresh again. Let's see. I'll try to change it out now. So if I were to, you know what? Instead of messing with it, I'll do it a little bit later once I get the chance off of live, and then I'll adjust it for you if you'd like. But what better to have for a dual monitor setup, dual stacked, or side by side? That's really up to preference, I gotta say, for the most part. When it comes to that, it's up to you on how you would like it. Now, on this specific build, as you see, I'm set up for side to side, and it's two ultra wides. I can tell you right now that sometimes it can feel a bit overwhelming. It's a lot of space. But if you have two ultra wides, I'd say I recommend. I think stacked is better. Now, if you have two monitors, like the standard ones, like 27-inch ones or a 32-inch monitor, then 32-inch I'd say stacked. 27-inch you could do side by side. It won't be as bad. But either way is really good. Just depends on the type of monitor you have, or you can even have the option. You can always like the good thing about having arms like this, if you prefer to have one like specifically dedicated for Discord, you can always get a monitor like this. And the good thing is you can even just pull it out and then flip it around and choose to make it vertical. But then you can see how ridiculous that would look on an ultra wide. But that's gotta make space. There we go. Perfect. But yeah, that's how you would do it. So, two 32-inch. Okay, so if it's two 32-inch, I would think you would probably like it better stacked. Now, is the other 32-inch, I'm assuming, is it going to be, is it dedicated for anything, or is it just going to be more like a multitask monitor, just like how this setup is just like that? But, am I reading the channel name wrong? It says Mizo, yet no, because no, I am not one. I get asked that a lot. That's just the last name. So apologize if you're disappointed sick. Even though the channel name says Mizo, I'm not Mizo. Well, I am, but just last name wise. So yeah, so when it comes 32-inch, I always stacked is better because you can see it better, depending on your space too. That's a big part of it. This is on a 60-inch desk. So this is a 34 and this is a 34. So if you have two 32s, then it's going to, you could quite imagine how it looks. You just have a little bit less diameter, so it's just like a little bit shorter here, but it's still quite a bit of space. Now if you stack them, you'll probably like it a little bit better in my opinion. Unless you got one 32-inch, say on a vertical screen and one on a horizontal one, then that can make sense too. So it just, again, depends on what you would prefer for the most part. So now when it comes to, let's see. Now I'm really curious about this. I gotta go and exit and find this, but I will definitely get in contact with some people here and try to pull information about this 9080 XT. Multitask Man just ordered a new monitor on a bigger desk, dual arms, can arms what can stack or side by side. Okay, so if you're gonna multitask, for the most part, you can say, now if you're doing it something like this setup, like where you're gonna have multiple, just like this, I would say it's good to have it like this if you're going to, now if I have an idea, just say like streaming, right? I have this up as my preview screen, I have my chat up here, I can have my browser up here, and then I can have something else out there. But the problem is, this is like way wide of a setup, and if something's way out there, I barely use that side, to be honest. So if you're using something like a 32-inch setup, it might be a little bit more practical, and you might be using it for something completely different. For example, if you're using it for, like say, trading, and if you're using it for trading, that would make sense. Then you can monitor it in that type of way, because you're not going to be as active. Now, if you're going to be active on all the screens, then being stacked is a bit better if you want to use everything and you're constantly going back and forth. But if you're okay for like a certain space that you're not using, like I said, I don't use that space as much. So literally I could drag this preview window and kind of drag it here, and it won't bother me a bit because I barely touch my OBS screen, right? So if you're okay with that, if you just need to monitor something, then having it side by side would make sense. Now, if you're not monitoring and you need to be active on every screen, you need every square pixel inch, then it would make, then you would do stacked. One for gaming and the other one for YouTube, Discord. Okay, yeah, so side by side's fine then. Like if you literally have a video out there, then that's perfect for you, because you're not going to be really going to that screen to really do anything. You're just going to be watching videos. So side by side would work great. As long as if you're not trying to use the whole real estate of screen space, then it's not going to bother you. The only way it would bother you is if you need every single real estate, every square pixel of real estate on a screen, then that's when you would get bothered. So side by side would work. So on news side, for anybody that's just coming in, I gotta say, also this is a open forum, so you can feel free to say whatever you would like in the chat, and I'm willing to help you out, answer. A little bit later, I'm going to be helping out James with his list as soon as the stream will be over, which will be usually I end my streams like in the afternoon, about like around 12, a little bit after 12. What's up, 5-star? Good to see you. Glad you came in. I was just actually talking about just everybody, just if you need help with anything, feel free to contact me through Discord. I can certainly help you out. And if you need help, anybody else on Discord is also willing to help you out if you are running into any problems. Now, oh really? Okay, sure. Feel free to ask, 5-star. Let me know. Whatever you need. That's what we're all here for anyway. So if you want to join the FanBam and you need any type of help or just questions in general, feel free to join a Discord once more, and we'll be on there to help you out. Okay, so more I am wondering what I should do. So let's see what you got there. And I can certainly take a guess on what you need. But I gotta say, this whole RTX 50 series is just like, why is there news on it every like 2 to 3 days? It's ridiculous. Even when it's non-intentional, such like this whole issue with Zotac RTX 5090s being packed with backpacks inside. Can you imagine purchasing a $3,000 card and then you open it up to see, you pull out a book bag? That's like, that's ridiculous. And the thing is, they thought that people were returning it with book bags, but in fact, it was a lot deeper than that. In fact, it was coming straight out of Zotac like that. I don't know how they got away with that. But more, I am wondering what I should do. I'm writing it. Okay. All right. Take your time. I'll just talk about the different issues that are going on. Apparently, there's this rumor about this RX 9080 XT, and it makes me very curious about it. I will try to reach out to some people out here and see if they've heard anything, and see if I can get some answers. Also, I'll check other forums. Like a good place to check for leaks are like places like Billy. If you go on there, they might have something, and that's where I'm going to take a look at. Is it worth upgrading yet, or would you wait till the price goes down? Now, if you're trying to upgrade your GPU, is it? I'd say right now it's pretty good as it is. It seems like it's starting to level out to the point where it's not so expensive. Originally, it was like crazy expensive. They pushed everything up like at these incredible prices. But right now, it seems that it's actually a decent time to do any type of upgrading. But are you looking to upgrade your GPU, right? I'm assuming, B-Wins. If you are, then it's definitely a good time to do it. So I started with the $1,000 budget pre-build on Newegg, B660M, i5 13400F, RTX 4060, 32 gigabytes, Fury Beast DDR4. I bought a used i7 13700KF on Amazon, but I realized it was purchased in 2023. Oh, okay. So if you're looking to upgrade GPU wise, I would say, yeah, it's a good time. Now it seems like we are getting a more plentiful supply. Even in the used market, it seems that it's balancing out somewhat, because you still have some cards that are still pretty expensive. You still have if you tried to purchase a used RTX 4090 in the used market, then I would say it's kind of ridiculous, because it's going to be priced a little bit higher, but it's almost what it calls for, because thanks to the RTX 5090 pricing, it's going to stay where it's at. It might drop down somewhat when it comes to, say, like a used 4090. It's probably going to drop down at most maybe 1500, because of just how expensive these RTX 5090 cards is in the used side. But in the new side, I gotta say it's a decent time to purchase a card. You're not going to see any more of a large reduction in pricing. You're not going to see 5090s drop down to $2,000 flat. It's not going to happen. Or you're not going to see 9070 XTs drop down to like a $600 card. So that's also not going to happen. So yeah, it's a decent time to purchase, I gotta say. So I have a 7800X3D. What would it suit in? So you have a 4070 Super at the moment. Okay, so you're trying to upgrade. You actually have a pretty decent card, to be honest. You want to get something even better than the 4070 Super. I would say because it's not the 470. It makes sense. You're not the 4070 Ti Super. So I'd say, look, if you're thinking of upgrading and you're thinking of, I'd say just try out 9070 XT. You'd be impressed, I gotta say. If you're tired of like dealing with NVIDIA, and especially if you go to 50 series, there's current issues that's going on. Sure, you can get one, but there is problems with drivers currently, and it's just not really stable. If you're looking for stability, you're looking for decent pricing, and you're looking for reliability, I honestly have to say 9070 XT would be a great option for you. Sorry, I'm just gonna scroll up here, guys. I have Windows blinds. Do you think sunlight can ruin my OLED monitor? Usually I close them though. No, you'll be good. I've had my OLED monitor here for a year and a half, and I got Windows here right by here too, and they're perfectly fine. I've never had any issues. No degradation. Great. Yeah, I can't even speak right. No degradation on the monitor, at least. I don't know what to do. Sell the PC or keep it. Oh, okay. So you're trying to decide. Oh, I'm sorry, 5-star. I missed this side of it. Okay, so I contacted Intel. They told me that they will replace the CPU as long as they sent me the UPS shipping label yesterday. So I have some heat with this CPU, and my motherboard is locked. I can't undervolt the CPU, and I can't overclock. Oh, really? So is it enabled? And most of the time it should be. You should have let me see which motherboard it is again. Can you repeat the the B660? Oh, okay. The B660M. See, that's a little tricky because the thing is the B6 you might be limited on that board. That might be the reason why. But I will definitely help you out. Let me just come back right to you. I wonder, should I have my old 13400F and sell it? I have a 2000 Canadian shop with the ASRock Lightning DDR5. Yeah, honestly, I would, because you don't know what that 13400F went through. Especially if it was, it's hard to say if it was just being used for, say, like 6 months, or it was actually being used heavily throughout the years. And especially if there was no change to it. So I would say you're better off going with a new build, just like how you have set. Okay. Honestly, I wouldn't. It's probably better to sell the PC. I mean, you can always fix it and then sell it afterwards. That way you can feel pretty good about selling it. You don't have to worry about any comeback. But geez. I wish we had Micro Center in Canada. Their combos are insane. Yeah, I know. I feel bad for you guys, honestly. I know one of the first things you'd do when if you decide to come over to visit the US, you would definitely stop by a Micro Center. Definitely got to do that as part of your tour. ASRock, am I cooking my VRAM with the CPU? It's at i7-13700KF. Bought it January 2023. Before the BIOS update, the CPU is probably fried a little. I still have my old CPU. It's probably went through quite a bit, to be honest. Especially because, yeah, that's exactly what I would think, this issue right here. So I think that more than likely there could be a problem. Now, people sell things for multiple reasons. And we all know one of the reasons is so that way they can try to offload the item, try to make some money off of it, and sell it out there even though they know the condition isn't as great. So unfortunately, that's a real possibility in this case, and that's what we have to really be wary of. The i5 13400F, should I ask for a refund on the i7? I would start fresh. To be honest, 5-star, save yourself the headache. Start fresh, because think of it like this. You're spending all this money, right? And you're doing this build, even though you spent a lot of time and effort. I know that's already a pain as it is, trying to get all these parts together in the first place. But you don't want to end up spending all this money on your build. And then after you're done building it, it works great, just say. Say it works great. But after that 2 months, or after those 2 months, you're running into problems. And that's what you don't want to happen. And then you're going to be SOL at that point, because already 2 months has passed and everything seemed to be fine, but now you're already out of returning anything. You're out of you're out of the refund policy and everything, so you won't be able to refund even. You could exchange your CPU. You got to hope that everything's okay with your motherboard, because you run into a multitude of different issues that can branch off from that. So just start off with a new build. You'll end up saving yourself money, even though you might spend a little bit more money, unfortunately. But at least you know that everything is new, and that everything that you are building off of will last a longer period of time, especially because now you're also future-proofed. because even if you go to the 13th gen, you're still technically going to a generation that's already has passed. You're going on an older platform, which was Intel's LGA 1700. Now they're on LGA 1851, and now this year they are moving to LGA 1954. So you're literally moving 2 generations back, nearly. So I'd say just go with AM5. You save yourself a headache, and you can even upgrade to a Ryzen 10,000 series when they do end up releasing it, because that'll be the last line that AMD will be running currently on this platform. So I see. Yeah, and that is going to be, that will happen. The thing is, I think DDR6, I don't know if they will decide to do it. I don't know if AMD will adapt to that. If they choose to go do this on their, it would be, I guess, the B1070Es, it would be called. If they decide to do that with their motherboard, or maybe they keep 970. I don't know. Whatever they call this motherboard, whichever code it's going to be. I don't know if they will adapt to DDR6 quite yet. If they do, I'd be surprised. I could see it coming down the line for them once they go to AM6, not AM6, but once they go, to AM6, matter of fact. Yeah, once they go AM6, I could see them doing it. It would just sound right and matches their name. And then on top of it, I would see Intel trying to beat AMD to the punch for that. So I could see Intel trying to do that with their new line, which is going to be their 18A chipsets, their processors. And if they choose to go with their new processors, which is supposed to be more competitive than AMD, I could see them trying to get DDR6 out before AMD does. So I wouldn't be surprised if Intel releases it, but I would be surprised if AMD decides to release it. Yes, I absolutely think DDR5 will last quite a bit. Even when DDR5 released the first time, DDR4 was apparent for at least a good 2 to 3 years, until it was honest. That's when it was started to phase out after that. So Farzan Mohammed says, bros, send some money for good luck. Yeah. Yeah, I gotta say. But hopefully, I hope your build goes well, and we'll definitely talk on Discord more. And I gotta remember, I gotta keep in mind with James. I'll make sure to check out his list. I'll change out a couple things, and make sure that make sure that him and his wife don't get into a fight. That's the biggest thing when it comes to it. No problem, 5-star. I'm glad I could help. I'm sure everybody else that is on Discord is also willing to help out as well, for the most part. And I gotta say, this is for anybody that is just coming in. Feel free to ask any questions when it comes to PC upgrades or PC builds. This is a open chat, so I do talk to the chat. So as you can see, and if you have any questions, any specific questions, regardless of what it is, whether it's GPU related or some sort of troubleshooting matter, feel free to ask, and I will help out and answer the best way that I can. Also, if you have any questions that you don't want to mention in the chat, you just prefer to contact through Discord, feel free to also do that as well. And I will send over the Discord channel here if you guys do want to join. It is missing the explanation point. I will also be streaming live later. And when I stream live later, it will be based on, we'll be gaming on the RTX 5090 with Doom, Dark Ages, see how well it works with the current drivers. Also, we'll be doing Expedition 33. And also, I will be working on the whole NDI when it comes to this current build with the RX 9070 XC, since it's in a whole different build. Currently, I have OBS and everything running on it. I do have practically the I have them communicating to each other when it comes to the NDI side, but I just got to work on the video feed and figure out what's going on there. And once I get that, then we can also go into 9070 XT and give it a shot, show you how the performance is on a whole nother OS. So don't mind the 4060. All right, welcome. All right, wait, what's up, everybody? Waving hi to all of you in Discord. Thank you guys for joining here. Anyway, was joking around. Good luck and happy. Yeah, sure thing, Farzan. Good to see you once again. Anyway, but I gotta say, when it comes to PC builds, it's definitely a good time to do a PC build. And if you're able to do a build, it's you can do anything under. You can even do a budget build if you wanted to. We've done it before. We've actually built up a list where it was only like $850, so it's 100% possible if you wanted to do one. And you could even beat out a PS5 Pro, which is going to be practically that price anyway, because it's $700. It dropped down $50 recently. I don't know if you guys heard or not, but it did drop down $50 for a PS5 Pro for anybody that is interested in one. But just to let you know, you can certainly build something better than a PS5 Pro, and it only costs you another $150. And when a PS5 Pro is not $700, it's not really $700. You really got to pay for PlayStation Plus, and plus you got to pay for the base or the optical drive or whatever you want to add to it. So would a 5070 pair nice with my CPU, or would it bottleneck? No, it would pair okay. It would pair well. I wouldn't really worry about any type of bottlenecking, especially in the new generation. Yeah, you won't experience any of that. The only time you'll experience like bottlenecking is if you're on an older platform. Then you'll see it then. Because think of it like this. It requires PCI Express 5 to run on the newer 50 series cards. And you do have the proper architecture for it. You have the proper processor for it. So you shouldn't run into issues. If you're on say you're on an older one like a Zen 2 board, and then you will experience bottlenecking because you're on PCI Express 4 and your processor can only do so much when it tries to put out any type of single core usage. So then you'll bottleneck. But on this, no, you'll be okay. I wouldn't worry about it. So there's also the Switch 2 that's going to be released, that's coming out soon. I don't know if anybody's really excited for it. I don't know if you guys heard this or not. This is pretty funny. There was this Russian guy, and I don't know if you guys saw the post or not. There was a Russian guy out there. Apparently, he unboxed this Nintendo Switch 2, and he took a ton of photos of it, of what it looks like, how it looks unboxed. I think he even had the games that came along with the Switch 2, but of course, you're unable to play them because in order to play these games, you have to have the day one patch. That's the only way you're able to play Switch 2. So nobody can actually open it and play it, but he's receiving a little bit of heat from it. And he says he's not afraid of Nintendo going after him because he did purchase the product. It's his right to take pictures and post it on the internet and does what he wants. He's not afraid that there won't be any type of repercussions for doing what he did. So he posted these pictures all online so everybody knows what to expect when you do have a Nintendo Switch 2, what the docking looks like. Pretty detailed photos. Like you can see what it looks like from all different angles. You can see what the Switch 2 looks like. And he is not afraid of any consequence, obviously, because, Russians are built tough, right? So, anyway, what do you guys think about that situation? It's pretty funny. So, yeah, no problem, B-Wins. I am glad to help for the most part. And again, feel free if you have any questions at all, if you have any tech questions or any compatibility questions even, like when it comes to certain games. That's a big part when it comes to PC builds. When you play very specific games, make sure to know what type of games that you play, because when you do know the type of games that you play, this will also help determine on the type of PC build that you would like. Now, say if you prefer to play games like Fortnite, you want to look at the current specifications of Fortnite, not of when it was first released, but when it's released now, because over time, everything changes, even Fortnite. So you want to check out the specifications for Fortnite, what it requires, how much space you need, and what type of specifications that you actually need to run Fortnite. Now, there's going to be, they kind of stretched out this whole specification side. You've heard there was only 2 settings that you would really worry about. You would have minimum settings, which is the minimum recommended settings, which are the minimal amount required in order to run it. It's not going to look pretty, but it's going to run well. Or you have the recommended requirement, the recommended required specifications, where it's going to run very nicely and it's going to also look well. But now it's kind of stretched out to 5 different categories. Now you can have the maximum. We'll just go to the last column, which is the maximum recommended specifications, which is going to look very nice, but you're going to need some ridiculous requirements in order to run it. Now, a game like Fortnite's not going to require a ton, especially on the maximum side. Now, if you do it for a game such as Cyberpunk 2077, it's going to require a decent amount of power. A game that will really push the limits is something like Black Myth Wukong. That requires a lot of power. Now, if we take a look, which I will share with you, this is what you want to look for. Because this is going to give you a good indication of what you actually need for your system, and it's giving you an ideal build. Right here. It's funny, it's on Corsair's blog here. And I want to get the full list. Here we go. This is a good website, so if anybody's curious, there's a website called Can You Run It? That's a great website to put in specifications, and it will give you an indication of what you need to run it. So let's go over here. And you can see here for the RAM requirements, it recommends some 16 gigabytes of RAM at least 130 gigabytes of storage, and it also requires a minimum of a 1060 or an Intel 7 A750 or a Radeon RX 580, a minimum of 8 gigabytes. Now this is a minimum, which is pretty insane, right? So that tells you, like, if you have a RTX 5060 or you have a RX 9060, that's just the minimum. I mean, you're really going to push that card. And just to let you know, if you do purchase like a real basic card, like a RX 5060 or a RTX 5060, it's going to really push that card a lot. You'll wear that card a lot more compared to something like a RTX 5080 because you're not putting as much work on that card, if that makes sense, depending on how you set it. But anyway, CPU requirements requires at least an i5 8400 or a Ryzen 5 1600. And for more of the recommended side, a 9700 and a Ryzen 5 5500. So this is what is required to run a game like Black Myth Wukong. So right off the bat here, you have a good indication of what you need to run on the recommended settings. And this is all by Systems Requirement Lab. So this is one of the best ways to check. Now, Elden Ring, Night Rain. We don't want to see that ad. Get out of here. So, Elden Ring, Night Rain. Apologize for the mobile guys out there. Let me just fix that for you guys. So, for Night Rain, right? That just got released. That's a game I'm excited for. It just sucks because, I know this is just me ranting, but this just sucks because you have to have at least 2 or 3 people that's willing to play with you on Elden Ring Night Rain in order to enjoy it. Otherwise, it's going to be a very terrible time for you. So Jerry Kalala says, I have a button to turn on 0 dB fan. Is it needed to turn on? No, not really. If you have that, yeah, you don't have to really worry about that. Most of the time, that more than likely you probably have your fan set to the on the BIOS, and usually that'll run auto on depending on the temperature. So the fans will only run hard if it's being used, and if it's like your components are being used. If you're not really using your components as much, like if you're just browsing, it shouldn't really run as much. It's going to run at a very low fan speed. So I wouldn't worry too much about that side. But, or are you talking about the power supply? That's also something different too. Are you talking about the button on the back of your power supply? You can have that on, but again, it doesn't really make a difference unless your power supply is like bothering you, unless you hear that fan turning on. Most of the time, most power supplies, they're not really loud anymore. Unless you put your PC to sleep, you might hear some turn on, like Thermaltake does that. But yeah, for the most part, I wouldn't really worry too much unless your PC is really bothering you, noise level wise. So anyway, let me get over here to the point here about Elden Ring Night Rain. So this is the minimum requirement it requires is a 10600. Let's go down here so because it looks nicer and more easier to see. It requires at least 8 gigabytes of RAM, all right, and 16 gigabytes at the required side of RAM. Hard drive recommends at least 60 gigabytes. GPU wise, only a 770. That's a way back one, and a GTX 1070 for the requirements. Now for the R9 280 for GPU, and for the Vega 56, and for the VRAM at least 2 to 8 gigabytes to play comfortably. 8 gigabytes again. And, well, actually, this is a little bit more. If it's exactly that number, it's better to have more, like at least 10 gigabyte GPU in my opinion. But anyway, FX 6300 at the minimum, and required at least a 3600X. And then for the Intel side, 8700K at the most recommended setting. So that gives you a better idea of what it should be and what type of build you can kind of base it off of. So that tells you right then and there that that a lot of the builds that you currently look at now, even if you do like a build that's like only $1,500, it's still going to run any game well, because these are one of the heavier games that I mentioned as Elden Ring, and we did show off Black Myth Wukong. As long as if you have these specifications, it still should run somewhat well. Now, of course, it's going to be a lot different if you don't go off of recommended requirements. You go off of, say, the maximum requirements. Like a good example is if you look at, say, Last of Us, which is kind of ridiculous in my personal opinion. Last of Us to recommended specification chart, PC specification chart. You're gonna look at this chart and be like, that is ridiculous, because it is. It's absolutely ridiculous. Okay, so going back here now, for you vertical guys out there, I will fix that. There you go. So for the minimum, it requires at least Intel i3-8100, okay? And for AMD Ryzen 3 1300X, not bad at all, right? 1650, RX 5500, 16 gigabytes of RAM, at least Windows 10 or 11 version. Well, we don't have to worry about that side. 150 gigabytes of storage. Now, let's go all the way to the end, to the very high side. I apologize. On the horizontal side, let me move this over so you guys can see it. There you go. Perfect. So, and I'll move you vertical guys right over here. So on the very high requirements, it recommends at least a 4K display if you want to run it at 4K 60. So you need at least 11700, right? And then you need a 5700X. So we're getting a bit to the generational gap here. It's nearly requiring an AM5. So NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4080 to run it at 4K 60 FPS, or a RX 7900 XT. That's quite demanding. Now for the RAM, at least 32 gigabytes of RAM, and for Windows to be either 10 or 11, and it doesn't change with the storage. But you get the idea there of how demanding certain games can really be. If, again, I don't know why they created this whole 4 chart area where it's minimum, required, and what's the other one? High and very high. But that just gives you a good indication of what's needed if you want to run everything on maximum resolution. Now, it's getting ridiculous on how much the cost would be to run maximum resolution, but it certainly can be done. A lot of games that can run on a great resolution is because it's not, you don't have to really worry about, say, like turning on ray tracing as much or anything like that, because that is what causes a lot of demand through your GPU and your CPU wise. So if you're gaming off of, say, a 7900 XT, as they mentioned, you're going to see usage off of your GPU and your CPU as well, because it just requires more power in order for you to enjoy your game in ray tracing. If you notice, if you turn off ray tracing, you'll notice the demand will diminish greatly, especially if you are on a AMD card. And the reason being is because a lot of it has to do with how do I say? Now the word slipped in my mind for it. But it has to do a lot with optimization. That's the word I was looking for. It has to do a lot with optimization when it comes with games, because more game studios don't want to spend more time developing. Now, if you look at other studios, such as GTA 6 Take-Two, you can see how much work they put into it. So it just makes me curious about how it will run. How well will GTA 6 run on its physics level, on how it's going to run on its on the every description when it comes to like beer carbonation, or when it comes to even just when a puma is walking through the Everglades and you see his stomach getting wet. That just gives you an indication of how deep they went into not just developing, but also optimizing the game as well, especially because it's going into a system such as a PlayStation 5. And that whole trailer, that was based off of a PlayStation 5 and wasn't even based on a PS5 Pro. So just imagine how much work that they actually took in order to detail all those to detail everything in that game. Now, something that has bothered me too, which was a tweet. I know I mentioned this before, but it was from Frank Azur from AMD, how he mentioned that the minimum, or the what gamers only require, is an 8GB card in order to game. But that's not necessarily true. 8GB is the bare minimum. And most gamers that do want to play their games and their favorite titles comfortably, you need to have a little bit more space. It's kind of like just like anything else in life. You're not going to get a sedan if you have a larger family, because you have, just say if you have your wife, or your wife and you have 3 kids, you're not going to get a sedan because that's the bare minimum. It sits 5 people, but you're not going to get the sedan because it just sits 5 people. Sure, you can do it. It's manageable, but it's not going to be comfortable. It's kind of the same idea when it comes to graphics cards. You don't want to have the limit of 8GB because, again, the maximum resolution, the very high resolution when it comes to 4K 60, it is requiring at least a 4080. That is not nowhere near 8GB, right? So even on high settings, it requires a 3070. It requires a 6800. So even then, that just gives you indication that 8GB is not really nearly enough for anybody. It should be a little bit more of a gap to about at least 12GB. 10 to 12 gigabytes at least, at the minimum, because then you have to give yourself or anybody else the extra cap space just in case if depending on the game. Again, referring back to the family, even if you're using that same card to fit other people in there, it's going to be different because everybody is fit differently. So everybody is either taller or skinnier or wider depending on who the person is. Even though the card can fit up to 5 people, doesn't mean they can fit comfortably. And it's the same when it comes to GPUs. It's practically the same idea, but again, it comes with the whole textures and how they can compress the textures, if they choose to use ray tracing, if they choose to develop the game the way it's intended instead of trying to rush out the release where you can only do so much. And when that game is finally released, it's not going to run well because it's not on a decent card. And that's a large majority of the problem when it comes to the gaming side, at least when it comes to the studios. But if anybody has any questions about PC builds or questions about PC upgrades, feel free to ask. It is an open chat, and I will help you out the best way I can. Also, feel free to ask on Discord as well. So, let me see here. Let me just take a drink real quick. I know I kind of rambled on a little bit, but feel free to ask anything and ask questions. And I have my coffee sitting here it's probably cold now. I didn't even take a sip of it yet. But I am certainly glad that we see GPUs coming back to stock, back to normal. Anyone can have access to a RTX 50 series if they wanted one now. RX 9070 XTs are getting back into stock, and it seems like the pricing has been getting back to more normalcy. You can currently get a RX 9070 XT for a great deal. I'll actually show you guys here. We'll go to Newegg. RX 9070 XT. And we have the XFX, a great card. Again, they were a manufacturer with NVIDIA before. They were actually an AIB company with them. And they were even before EVGA. And they're actually a great company to deal with. So if you have if you are interested in a 9070 XT, this is also a great card to think about too as well. Which looks just like this. This is all stealth. And for those people who are not a fan of RGBs, this is also great for you guys, because this is all just straight up just dark. This is great on a stealth build for anyone that is interested in one. And they would certainly be happy with this, especially with the specifications this has. Now, the current one that we have on this build that we have is this one, the 9070 XT. The Sapphire Nitro Plus, which is a great card. It looks great. You do also have the option of not connecting the ARGBs if you don't want. And this is a really nice feature that I really love. It's designed beautifully, I gotta say. And it still is quite impressive, the way the card looks. I highly recommend it. And you can really push this card to its limits. And again, the good thing is everything is back in stock, and it seems that everything is becoming more normal. Now, the used market side, it's going to be a bit higher. I'm just curious to see what a RTX 4090 looks like in question. See if Newegg has any that they're willing to sell. That is funny. Look at that. $3,699. That's insane. That doesn't make any sense to me. And that's probably, I'm sure that's not from Newegg. So usually, excuse me. Usually I go up here and I go to sold by Newegg, and I'll turn it on. Just to make sure it's from Newegg. Now, this is refurbished from Newegg, which is insane. They're selling this card for $23.99. What? That doesn't make any sense. That's a lot for a 4090. Same with this one. MSI Gaming GeForce RTX 4090, $23.99. That is insane. Also, I do gotta mention anybody who is interested in purchasing a PC. I do have a website that you can certainly purchase PCs off of. Certainly, currently I only ship within the U.S. or within near countries such as within the U.S. and Canada. And reason being is because I want to make sure the PC arrives safely. I think the receiver would also appreciate that as well, and not in pieces, because I don't think anybody wants their PC in pieces. But also, if you're interested in taking a look at PCs, I also have the link right down here, which is just loading up. All right, and the shop is here. I should also have it posted in the description box as well for anyone else who is interested. And there you go. But that's where you can take a look at it if you are interested. Also, hopefully everybody out there enjoyed this stream a ton. I appreciate everyone who's come in and asked questions. I will be helping out those who have the questions on Discord. I will be getting to you guys. And thank you guys so much for joining up the stream. If you enjoyed this and you want to see a stream later about the RTX 5090, I will share the stats and everything with you guys. Feel free to join in. I will let you guys know on Discord, and I will have it post out just to let you guys know as well. And if you haven't joined the Discord channel, it is right here, which I will post. Oh, I put Discords. That is it right there. And I thank everybody for coming out to watching. Feels great to not have the internet capped once again. That was such a pain. And thanks so much for watching, guys. Make sure you check out the latest videos and the latest streams, which I will post up soon. Thanks so much for watching. This is Chris Mizo signing out.